Hey guys, I'm Phil Harris.
And I'm Ashley Harris.
We are Shred MX Conditioning, and we provide online fitness and nutrition coaching, as well as in-person riding clinics for riders and racers from local to pro.
Now, we're racers ourselves, so we'll be talking about all things moto on this channel, from motocross, fitness and nutrition, injury, prevention and maintenance, local races, amateur nationals, pro events, current happenings in the sport, and everything in between. So whether you're on the road or in the garage, turn it up and enjoy.
This is Shred MX Shop Talk. Hey guys, welcome to episode 6, and we are on today to talk about a little hydration and nutrition.
Yeah, and I actually had the opportunity to do a little interview with one of the owners of Motoxpops, Justin. So we're going to jump into that and listen to the interview, kind of what he has to say about them, what he's doing, and then you and I will tune back in and chat about it. So
Yeah.
let's jump to that. Okay, so I'm here with Justin from Moto X Pops. So, Justin, tell me a little bit more about you and where the idea for Moto X Pops came from.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having us on. Going to be good to talk about the new popsicles coming out, the free pops here, Moto X Pops. But yeah, I just have a background in motocross. I started racing when I was 12. I've been a dirt bike fanatic since I was a little kid. Always wanted to be a pro racer, all that kind of stuff. So the I have a good extensive background in motocross. I did ride pro for a little while. Never did anything really cool with it, but was able to ride some nationals and try to qualify for a couple supercrosses. So I think just going back to thinking how this started. My partner Todd and I were talking one day, and we were friends in high school, and we kind of didn't talk for it's probably like 15 years. And he called me, and we just kind of started BSing back and forth, and we were talking, and he is actually the one. I'm going to give him all the credit. He's the one that had the idea for a hydration popsicle, and I said, man, that actually sounds like a great idea. So we started putting pencils to paper and putting our heads together, and we said, what if we added some vitamins to them? That's a great idea. And just so everybody knows, we started this almost a year ago right now, planning and coming up with recipes, and we found an FDA approved lab that worked with us on all our recipes. And the first ones we had were horrible, and I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. So we definitely had some ups and downs with that, and then we came up with finally a recipe that I think you've tried them. Everybody that has tried them has liked them, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. So I think we hit the nail on the head with our recipe. But yeah, it was just kind of like a couple guys. He had the idea, and I said, man, we could run with this. And it works that I have some of the contacts that I have in the industry and knowing about motocross. Todd loves motocross. He's actually on his way to Nashville right now to go just to watch the supercross, and meet up with a couple of the riders that we've been working with, pre-sponsorship kind of things, and trying to get our names out there and things like that. So yeah, it was just a couple guys talking, and he had an idea, and we put some things together, and a year later, here we are, just getting ready to start producing them.
Yeah, and Phil and I actually both had the opportunity to try them. You guys sent us a little sample pack, and
Yep.
I wouldn't say I was skeptical. Like, I love popsicles, and I'm super about, obviously, being into the nutrition side of coaching for riders, super into anything that is healthy and going to be a benefit to riders on a ride and a race day. But I didn't know how they were going to, I guess, meet the market with on the kids side of things. So I was like, okay, like an adult knows that this is good for them. They're going to eat it. Great. So I broke one open and ate it, and I thought it was delicious. I was like, I gave Phil a bite, and I'm like, if you want one, you can have your own. You can go get your own, because it was really good, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't feel bad about eating it. It's not full of sugar. So I'm like, okay, waited a couple days because I didn't eat more than one in one day. And then I tried another flavor, and I'm like, man, I could really see these replacing, the two popsicles that are so full of sugar and dyes and everything. And again, that's something that um like, I understand they're kids, but when I see parents handing their kids those popsicles, I'm like, "Oh my god, there's such garbage in those." Like,
Garbage.
don't give those to your kids. But again, what alternative is there? And on a 90, 95-degree race day, like, kids want something cold. So when I actually think I had found your guys' page a while ago, and we started chatting, from my personal page about the Motoxpops, and I was very interested. I'm like, "Man, these are such a great idea, especially with the electrolytes in them." So I was really excited about that. And then when you reached out about coming on the podcast, I was like, yes, absolutely. Let's get some samples. I want to taste them so that I can actually speak to the flavor of them, and talk a
Yeah.
little bit about what's in them. So I think what you guys are doing is filling a need that people have been filling with garbage, like the sugary popsicles, but you're going to fill it with something that is good for people. And you gave me a list of your ingredients. I did my research. Like, there's nothing in there that I didn't like personally as a certified sports nutrition coach. So thought that was great. So tell us a little bit about what's in them.
So that was a big thing, and I'm glad, and thanks for giving us some praise on that. That was nice, that knowing that you have the background you do, and that was one of the biggest things that we went through was how do we make these taste good so that a little kid would want them. A little kid's not gonna, if a little kid takes a popsicle and it's full of stuff that doesn't taste good, he's not gonna want it. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Adults will like it, but yeah. So that was a big focus on us was let's find some ingredients and some things that will make these taste good. And that was probably the hardest part of everything that we did was how do we get these things to taste good? So a little bit of background on that also, we there are a couple other companies out there who do hydration popsicles, and we bought them. We bought them online, and we tasted them, and we tried them, and we were just like, wow. I started to think maybe this isn't possible, because if it was, why wasn't anybody doing it already? So we do use all natural ingredients. So nothing that we have is a flavor or a dye or artificial. We worked with the lab that we worked with, came up with a vitamin mix for us that has B3, B6, and B12. We have the electrolytes in it. We do use organic raw cane sugar, and we were struggling at first because we thought that the sugar content was a little high. So we backed it down a little, and it actually didn't really change the taste of the mix at all. So yeah, that's kind of, like I said, that's a year of the process of going back and forth, but a big thing for me, and just like you, I'm the person who, when I'm shopping in a grocery store, I don't use the middle aisles too much, right? I shop on the outside. I watch my content. I watch I look at the ingredients. If there's 17 lines of ingredients, it's going right back on the shelf. No dyes, things like that. I get down to the point where, like, I love Skittles, but I know there's red 40 in Skittles, and red 40 is like linked to, anxiety and all these horrible things. And when you start looking, red 40's in everything. If you have anything that's red, Fruity Pebbles, which cereal's horrible for kids, but I think that's a big part that I like to focus on, because being myself in the way that I shop and I treat my body, I really think that most kids that race, I think everybody in the world should care about themselves. They do, but do you ever notice how funny it is where you people, I know people that go, "Oh, I went out to Burger King and they got this Impossible Burger and it's healthy for you," or "I went to this place and they say this is healthy for you," or because they're pushed by certain people or certain companies to say, "Oh, this is, some of these new energy drinks, this is sugar free." No, it's not. There's just a hidden genetically modified sweetener in that drink, so they can say there's zero sugar. I had a buddy one time with I don't want to throw him in the bus, but there's an energy drink that rhymes with hang. And he was like, "You got to try this stuff, man. It's good for you. There's CoQ10 in it. They don't use sugar." And I looked up, they actually put Ace K as a sweetener in their energy drink. And I looked that up, and the side effects and some of the things that Ace K can cause, it's kind of alarming. So that was, like I told Todd when we got in this, I said, "Look, I'm not going to make these things like everybody else just to make them." I said, "I want them to have good, healthy ingredients." And I get it. You know what? Sugar's good in moderation, right? So that's why we really tried to watch our sugar content. But everything else in there, yeah, it's a vitamin mix with your standard ingredients, some water and the electrolytes. So yeah, health is a big focus for me. So I think, especially like I said, in racing and with the kids on a hot day, hydration is super important with racing. You got all this gear on. It's 90, down at Loretta's especially. Look at, it's 100 degrees in that valley and there's no breeze. Like, you need to stay hydrated and you need to stay healthy.
Yeah. And to touch on a couple of things that you said there, the sugar part of it, I asked you what the sweetener was, and you said it was raw cane sugar. And that actually made me excited because it's real. That's exactly what I
Yep.
wanted to know. Are we putting in some type of sugar substitute that's not a sweetener that's not going to be good for you? And you said that, and I was like, yes, that's solid. And actually, sugar on a race day is good for you. Like you said, in moderation, we don't need a lot, but sometimes if you come off the track and you're really drained, giving yourself a quick hit of sugar and easily digestible sugar like that is a really good way to bring your levels back up quickly because
Correct.
it'll spike your blood sugar levels when you've just depleted your body. Again, that doesn't mean to go eat, pixie sticks or something like that, but a quick little sugar hit like that
Yeah.
is going to be good, as well as, the popsicle part of it cooling you down and the water that's in there, the electrolytes. So, a couple other things that you said about people follow what they hear or kind of what's advertised as healthy. That's a big piece of what I focus on with my nutrition coaching. It's so hard to find good information, much less tailor it to the sport that we all love.
Correct.
So, I've taken the time to do the research and figure these things out and simplify it for people. Now they have to listen, they have to want to learn these things.
Hmm.
But your popsicles in that way are a very easy way to be like, I'm telling you these are good. I agree that they are good. And just eat them. All you have to do is eat them. Like, it's not like it's really bad for you, but I'm telling you it's good. Like, I've done my research, you've done your research and put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yep.
It's just something that would be an easy, healthy option, alternative to the sugary popsicle, or just a good little addition to your day on a race day for kids, for adults,
Yep.
all of the above. So I think what you have going is a really great idea. I think it's a great business, and I think the flavor of it is delicious enough to have kids wanting those instead of the red ones. I just keep thinking of the red ones. I'm like, those are so bad for you.
Because you always see the
Yeah.
little
So
kid
anyway,
walking around with red around his mouth, right? When he eats a red popsicle and he's holding it and it's sticky all
yeah.
over him, and you know.
Or the red Gatorade. I'm like, don't drink that. Just pick something else, please.
I don't even get me started on that.
Same, same. We
I
could go
could talk for hours. I could go for hours and just say,
same.
but that's what, like you said, that's what we've been pushed to is in this country. And it's fun. I have a friend, she's from Great Britain, and she always laughs. She goes, "You guys, the food here," she says, "the food in America does not happen in Great Britain because they're
And it
so much
shouldn't.
more strict." I know.
Yeah. So there's pictures, and it's come to light recently. Like, they'll say, if you look at pictures of, people on the beach from the 60s and 70s, no one's overweight. It's because of all the garbage that they put in our food now. So I'm with you. When I go to the grocery store, I avoid anything. Like, if it's got a laundry list of ingredients, I don't know what half of them are. I don't know what they're going to do. Yeah, I could take the time to research each one of them, but I'm not going to do that standing in an aisle at the grocery store. So I put
No,
it back and focus on whole food stuff that I know that's in it, and avoid as much process as possible. So to me, simple is so much better.
so much better.
All right. So tell me, I know you said that when we talked a little bit, you're kind of waiting on the final approval through the state. So when are these going to be available, and how can people find them?
Yeah, so we have a couple more hoops to jump through. Here's another funny story. You'd think that, oh, we're putting together a popsicle that has no additives, no dyes, no artificial flavors and everything, and they actually made us go through an extra process um to get these things certified so that we could be legal to sell, because just the way that we're processing them and things. So it's maybe it was going to be the same if we had crap in them, but whatever. So we just have one little more hoop to jump through. So our plan was to be ready to go by the beginning of May. Once they're available, motoxpops.com will be the main hub, the main source of place to get them. Anybody who's around Michigan, we've already talked to a few tracks that want to carry them. So we're really going to try to push them there. So if you're at the motocross track during Saturday or Sunday, I'd like to talk to Log Road and some of the other places so they can be there. But motoxpops.com is going to be the best place to get them for now. We're working on our, quantities and things like that. Pricing should be available really soon as well.
Okay, that sounds good. And maybe that's something too that if you're looking to branch down into the Ohio scene, like, we can either carry them or talk to some tracks around down here, make sure that, we help support you guys as much as possible as well, because I really do believe in what you're doing, and talking about these popsicles makes me want to go get one and eat it. So I'm probably going to do that when we're done, but
We'll do that
it
because
was
I
a
don't
warm
have
day too.
Yeah, I don't have any in my freezer, so eat one for me because everybody when I get them, because we obviously, nothing illegal. We're not charging anybody for them now, but we've been giving them to our friends and people that we know and sending them to some of the riders and people, just anything we can, work with people to branch out to get our name out there. And as soon as we have them, we have 100 people going, hey, I have a buddy in the town that I grew up with near Flint, Michigan, and he texts me probably every 3 or 4 days. Hey, did you get any more in? I'm out. I need more. He goes, he eats 3 a day, So, but yeah, we'd love to work with you. If you want to work on a deal with taking them to the track, I have a friend who's a big racer. He lives in Sarasota, Florida, so he does the Dade Series circuit and things like that. And he's already like, hey, send me a pallet of them down. He goes, I'll take them to the races with me and sell them. So we'll eventually get there to where they're readily and easily available. We appreciate everybody so far that's reached out. We already have people reaching out. Where can we get these on our Instagram? How can I buy these? So we appreciate all those people, and we're going to make it very, very soon where it's easy to get them.
Yeah, and I think, just based on that and everything you have going on, I think once they become available, like they're approved for sale and everything early May, I think you're going to have a hard time keeping up with the demand, because once people realize again what they are, how good they taste, and they can get their hands on them, I feel like you're going to have, like I said, a hard time keeping up with demand. One little, sneak peek for the rest of our listeners of the podcast too. And this might be something that we could chat about. Shred-MX Conditioning will be at a training camp in Florida at PAX in July.
Oh, cool.
No set dates yet, kind of a precursor thing, little, like I said, little sneak peek, but maybe it's something that we could have the Motoxpops down there for, because there's a mix of kids and adults. That it's a week-long training camp. We did it last year. It was a lot of fun. So, if you're listening and you're in Florida or want to go to Florida in July to ride in the heat, it was a lot of fun. Maybe you'll get to take some popsicles with us.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm on board with you guys. If you want to take some down there, I'll send you some, and maybe we'll do a little sponsorship thing just to maybe we'll do a sponsorship thing with you guys. Anybody who signs up gets a free popsicle, or maybe a couple of them. We appreciate, like I said, we appreciate people like you, because this is the way to spread our name, and any avenue we can take, and I like what you're doing. There's not a lot of people out there who do, conditioning and nutrition. There's a lot of guys out there who do these motocross schools, and I think it's kind of becoming maybe more of just I get it, everybody needs to make money, but I think that a really, really big important thing is, along with training is nutrition, because there's a lot of people out there who still to this day, I go out to dinner with my friends when we go to the races, and I watch what they eat and drink. And then the next day at the races, they're going, oh man, I'm so tired. I had arm pump. I couldn't make it through that moto. And they're like, how do you do it? And I said, I eat a little different. I treat my body better. So I do appreciate what you're doing for us and helping us out. And I think it's great that you're taking the time to put that together and work and really focus on nutrition and health along with coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. And, I'm definitely out to help people. Like, yes, I'm running a business. I have to make the money side of it. That's important. But I am not going to work with someone that I can't truly help. So I'm truly out to help people. That's why when, we were talking about bringing you on our podcast, I need to know what's in it. I need to know what it tastes like. I'm not
Yeah.
just going to have someone that like, yeah, cool, you want to be on the podcast. Like I need to know that I support this product too. So
Yeah.
definitely a great fit there. Looking forward, to kind of further conversations about working together and things like that. So really the last thing I wanted to ask, do you have anything else that you want to share, whether it's about, the popsicles, anything else going forward for you?
Not really. Just go check out motoxpops.com. Check us out on Instagram. Give us a like and a follow. That's really a big thing for us because that's where a lot of our updates are, and I think it's kind of cool what we're able to do. Like I said, with the reach that I have with some of the riders and some of the certain pro riders now that I have relationships with that are helping us out, and I hope that everybody's excited to see some cool things coming from us. But yeah, go check out Moto X Pops. I think on Instagram we're just at Moto X Pops. But go check us out. Give us a follow. Like some of our stuff, and like I said, follow that for updates, and we'll keep everybody posted. But yeah, beginning of May, hopefully everything goes good. I'm crossing my fingers. I like to put hard dates on things, so that makes me work a little bit harder to to stay on top of the people that are kind of holding this up. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, I appreciate you giving us the time to come on here. It was great talking with you, and getting to learn a little bit more about your stuff. And I definitely, let's get together and talk more about that training down at PAX, because we definitely, we'd love to jump on and maybe do a little sponsorship thing. And that way everybody who joins the training class can try them out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was my thoughts. And like I said, we went last year and it was hot. It is hot in Florida in July. So be a good time for popsicles. And, guys, just like Justin's saying, the best way to support small businesses for free without spending any money is by liking, sharing things on social media, sending a post to a friend, like just getting the name out there. You can do so many things to help support small businesses just by utilizing social media, and it's free. So from, one small business owner to another, like I appreciate it. I'm sure you appreciate when people do that. So
Of
if you want to
course.
support both of us, do those things for sure.
Yep. Yep. That's what we're here for. We're gonna we also have some pretty cool things coming out in the pro motocross thing this summer. We're gonna do another. Last year we did a Moto Pops privateer giveaway at Redbud. We gave a pro rider, a privateer rider. We gave him $500 to help him, continue his journey throughout the summer. And so we're gonna do another one of those. So that'll be cool. But like Ashley said, give us a like and a follow, share something, because that's really what spreads out. Spreads the name, and like you said, it's free. It costs nothing to do.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Justin. Well, good talking with you. And like I said, we'll look forward to further conversations.
I appreciate it, Ashley. Thanks for having us on.
Sure thing.
Okay, so I talked to him. It's been a couple days ago now, but I know that's the first time you kind of heard me chatting with him and everything. So I was serious when I told him, though, that when we tasted the popsicles, I grabbed one and I took a bite, and I let you have a bite, and then I was like, well, if you want one, you can go get your own because it's good. So I think you liked them too, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought they were delicious. They had really good flavor. I wasn't sure what to expect when you said that you had them coming, and then we got them. And yeah, once you pulled one out of the freezer and we tried it out, wasn't sure what to expect. Yeah, but it was delicious.
Yeah, I think you're generally a little more skeptical about things than I am. And I will say, it's not like you're a picky eater. You eat a lot, but if there's something you don't like, you're not going to eat it. Like, I have made dinners for you that aren't fabulous, and you're like, no, I'm not eating that. Like, not even just being nice. And that's like, I love you for that. You're just very honest like that. So when you say that these popsicles like are good, I personally know that you mean it, because you don't eat stuff you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, I try sometimes, but yeah, I'm usually pretty blunt about stuff. So if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I'm gonna
know about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, or whoever's around me, that yeah, not feeling this.
Yeah.
Over it.
Yeah.
But no, the popsicles were really good, and they were not too sweet or anything like that, and it would definitely be something that I would eat on like a hot day around the house, like doing stuff or at the track. If we had a way, like a freezer, like someone there with a freezer, whatever it may be, if we had a way to keep them frozen, yeah, I could definitely see eating them like on a practice or even a race day because they're not overly sweet, but they still taste delicious.
Yeah, it's kind of weird from that standpoint, thinking that they aren't bad for you, like, and then even, they're actually good for you. Like, that's pretty cool.
Kind of a weird concept, especially like a little
A
popsicle.
popsicle that we're all used to eating as kids. It's like, oh, you can have one or two, but they don't eat too many.
A sugar tube.
Yeah, pretty much. So one of the other things that you had said is, which is true, a lot of people have motorhomes and campers and stuff when they go to the races now. So most people have, popsicles, ice cream, whatever in the freezer for kids. These would be such a good replacement for that. But not only for kids, like as an adult, it's really nice to have something icy like that too. Like when we take our camper, I have ice cream in the freezer, but I don't always want like ice cream, like it'd be nice just to have something refreshing that's really cold. So I think that's where these would definitely not only replace the sugary ones for kids, but be a good option for adults too.
Yeah. I feel like they'd be super easy to put in a motorhome like freezer too, because they are a little bit shorter in size. Mm-hmm. They're like a little bit bigger in size, but yeah, they're shorter, so it'd be,
fatter around but shorter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they'd be easy to like get stuffed into a freezer if you had other stuff in there. So
yeah, those little mini camper freezers.
Yeah, they're great. They're so big.
They're pretty small. But anyway, so like, when thinking about these popsicles, it's not like I would recommend replacing a normal electrolyte drink with it. It's more of just like it's
like
good
an add-on.
Yeah, an add-on, a good boost, a good replacement for kids, a nice treat for an adult. Like I would still absolutely recommend, obviously water, and then your electrolyte beverage as well. We want to make sure we're getting in enough electrolytes to replace what we're sweating out, especially on hot days. But I know, just kind of talking to Justin and everything about electrolytes and eating healthy and limited ingredients and all those things. Like one thing that it makes me think about was, kind of back before I really started studying and learning a lot about nutrition, you used to suffer from these insane cramps in your legs after we would go riding, especially on a hot day. Like you'd wake up in the middle of the night, like yelling.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, I would hydrate. I was like drinking lots of water.
Water.
That's typically all I was drinking, that was water.
So once we kind of figured out that piece about electrolytes and we really started including that, I mean, now we include it every day, but on ride days, that went away for you.
Yeah, big time. And it was like pretty quickly, like once we added that in, it was noticeable because it was all the time. Like before that, when we would go riding, like anytime we'd be on our way home, my legs would start even cramping on the way home and in the truck or whatever it may be. I'm like trying to stand up in my seat and figure out how to get comfortable. It was terrible a few times. And yeah, once we, added more electrolytes and everything into the diet, it helped like immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, we can giggle about it now because there were some pretty intense cramps for you, but in the moment, like, you were like yelling in pain and I didn't have any idea what was going on. I'm like, oh my God, you'd be like driving and you're like, like, oh my God. And I'm like, pull over, what's going on? And you're like, it's a cramp in my leg. So anyways.
My muscles like all season up and I'm like trying to die. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of working through those types of things. Even now, like sometimes we'll go golf or something, even something other than riding, because when we're riding, you're very good at making sure we get the electrolytes in, but maybe something that's like way lower intensity, like golfing, you might not get your electrolyte drink in for the day, and you'll be like a little bit later that night, like, I'm getting like a little bit of like cramping in my legs. And I was like, did you drink something with electrolytes in it today? And you're like, nope, I need that. So it's translating to other areas of life too.
Yeah, it does. It's easy to like overlook that stuff, like especially just like day to day when you're not riding or doing something like super strenuous like that. You're like, oh, like I haven't done a whole lot, or I just worked today, or yeah, or maybe it was like an off day. Yeah, I just golfed today or something, but it's the same thing. It was like you just putting water in or some tea or something, a soda or something on the side. Like, yeah, you're not getting any electrolytes in. The next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, you got cramping. You're like, why am I cramping right now? Like I didn't do anything hardly today.
Right. And just, for anyone who hasn't listened to several of the past episodes, you can overwater yourself. So in your body, there's a balance of water and electrolytes. One of the important electrolytes is salt. So if you think about it, to get sciencey, it's hypotonic and hypertonic. Anyways, when the balance gets off, it over concentrates your blood with water and there's not enough salt in there and it'll make you sick. You can actually die from it if it gets too extreme. So anyways, I always say, like, if you feel like extremely thirsty and you're chugging water after water after water and you're like, I just can't quench that thirst. A lot of times people are missing that electrolyte piece. So it's not just like if you get cramps, you should drink electrolytes. I mean, yeah, it'll help with that, but it's something that is to be taken seriously. Like, you need to keep that balance in your body or it can throw a lot of things off very quickly.
Yeah, and it's going to cause you a lot of issues.
Yeah, and it's not something that us as racers are taught. We're taught, drink more water. You're sweating a lot, drink more water. Have a Gatorade. No, like not the Gatorade. Pick something else.
That's just sugar water.
Yeah, we personally, we tend to focus on Element. It's LMNT. They're little packets that you can mix into water bottles. Obviously, those are easy to take to the track because they're dry powder. Throw a couple packets in when we're going riding. I take a box with me when we're going racing. I hand them out to people like they're treats. Like, oh, well, yeah, here, you need electrolytes. Like, take one of these. But one other that you recently kind of fell in love with that is a good electrolyte replacement. I mean, probably not to the extent of Element. Like, I would recommend an Element on a ride day. But on a normal day, coconut water.
Yeah. Coconut water, though, with pineapple in it. I can't do just the regular coconut water. The flavor of it's just a little odd. But, yeah, the one with pineapple in it, it's delicious. The Element has more sodium to it, so the coconut water doesn't have a whole lot of sodium. So yeah, we still like to mix an Element into the routine of what I'm drinking there to get the sodium levels up, especially on like a race day when it's hot and I'm sweating a lot. So
yeah, and I actually think it's really cool. You've been a little bit more focused on your nutrition lately. So you're using the pineapple coconut water essentially instead of drinking soda now. And you've gone back and forth. Sometimes you'll cut it out, sometimes you'll drink it. But recently you're like, I don't want to just drink water, but I also know that I don't want to keep drinking soda. So you found that coconut water that you like. That's a healthy, I would even call it an alternative to soda. It's not. It's just something else to drink that's not water that you enjoy. So it's nice to kind of have something to mix it up during the day.
Yeah, it is. And I like, like drinking tea too, but it's usually sweet tea, which has a lot of sugar in it and stuff. So yeah, it is nice to have something that's a alternative to just water that has some flavor to it, but at the same time isn't like packed full of sugar.
Yeah. And I mean, with soda, it's sugar, chemicals, dyes, syrups. It's just, there's nothing good for you in soda.
I don't understand. That doesn't sound delicious.
No, not to me. I might have a sip of your soda when we go out to eat. Maybe just for like a quick taste of like Coke. Coke is, I wouldn't even say it's like, what do they call it? It's not even like, I like it. It's fine. Sometimes I just want a sip of it, but it's not like something that I have to like tell myself, oh my God, I can't have it. I don't want it. I don't. I just like the taste of it every once in a while, so I'll have a sip.
Yeah, I get on a kick of drinking it, but it's like when I do get off of it for a little while, it's not as good when I have it. I can taste a lot of the syrup in it and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's been easier not to drink it, especially having like an alternative that is sweet tasting, but isn't all, like I said, packed full of
It's good for you.
junk.
Coconut water is good for you.
yeah, it's hydrating and
Yeah.
there's good vitamins, all that stuff in it. So.
Even with the pineapple to make it
Yeah.
taste a little better.
It's even good for after hard workouts like riding.
Yeah, yep, for sure. So, talking about drinking on ride days and race days, like this kind of made me think about foods for race day. So race day nutrition or even a ride day nutrition. And I got to giggling because I know in the past, like obviously our nutrition when we go ride and when we go race looks very different from how it looked when you were growing up. And that makes me giggle a little bit. So why don't you tell everyone what you used to eat when you were on your way to a race when you were growing up?
Well, if I was super lucky enough, I would have just enough time to get a bowl of cereal, which was still terrible. But that was typically not the case. Usually my dad would come in my room, flick my lights on, tell me to get out of bed and get some clothes on that we were leaving to go racing. So I would have to throw clothes on and just roll out of the house, hop in the van and leave. So I'd usually be hungry on the way, so we would stop and we'd be somewhere like a gas station or something. We'd stop and I would tell my dad that I was hungry, and he would usually tell me to get like a muffin or some donuts, something along those lines. So pretty much just go get some sugar.
Yeah, get something to fill yourself with sugar that has no nutritional value and God knows what else in it.
Yeah, I mean, it would like, obviously, it would kind of like fill me up for the morning, but I'm sure before I even hit practice, or even if it made it that far after I rode practice, I had already burned all that up that I had eaten.
Yeah, and it's not like, I mean, for most parents taking care of kids, that's a reality. And it's not like they are trying not to take care of their kids. Most people just don't know better. I mean, a muffin is a normal breakfast food for most people, or pancakes. Oh my God, pancakes are dessert at best. There's nothing in them but sugar unless you get, I mean, there's a couple companies that make ones with like, better quality ingredients and stuff, but pancakes with syrups and oh my gosh, I'm like,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, I had pancakes for breakfast. I'm like, so you ate dessert for breakfast. That's a good
Right.
choice. So basically the same thing as a muffin or a Danish or any of that stuff. But again, it's not because people are like negligent. It's because they don't know, and it's hard to find good information. So now,
especially when I was younger growing up, like there wasn't hardly any like nutrition information or anything like that. I will give it to like my parents, so like when we did have our motor home, when I was on like 85s and like maybe just on the big bikes, like when we did get to that point, we had a motor home and we would be at the races with that. If it wasn't like a local race where we got up early from the house and left, my mom usually would make me like a decent breakfast of like eggs or something.
yeah.
So that was nice. Usually I was pretty good on those days. But that was also a little later on when I was older, and we started to kind of learn that like nutrition went into it too.
Yeah, it plays a big part in your athletic performance in any sport.
Oh yeah.
So now, I mean, when we eat breakfast in the morning, for a while, a lot of our focus and normal day-to-day focus is just scrambled eggs. It's easy, it's quick. But, kind of learning a little bit more about the sports nutrition side of it and how carbs play a factor, I've actually started cooking us oatmeal for breakfast and putting like a half a scoop of protein powder in it. Again, you can find different brands of oatmeal that have added protein. I will get that eventually, but we just had regular like old-fashioned oats in there, and I wanted to increase our protein intake in the morning. So a couple times recently we've had oatmeal with a little bit of protein and fruit in it. Maybe a little bit of brown sugar to sweeten it or whatever. But so giving your body those carbohydrates in the morning, as well as a good protein source and some fruit, is a really good way to extend your energy for a longer period of time. Like protein is a really, really good focus for every meal. But on a performance day, on a ride day, a race day, the carbohydrates are really key to having good extended energy throughout the day. So, I mean, with that being said too, that's kind of what how we structure our lunches and dinners are more recovery, but like, I mean, I pack our lunches, so you eat whatever I make you. But I make sure you're getting in good carbohydrates, good protein, and all of that. So, and I would say, I mean, okay, so let's talk about this last Sunday. We went to Michigan to ride, or any Sunday really, when we're just riding. By the time noon rolls around, I mean, you'll eat a snack on the way to the track, again, to make sure you're getting in enough calories to fuel your riding. But usually when I'm telling you it's time to eat lunch, you're like, man, it's lunchtime already? Like you're eating enough that you're never starving.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it's taken me a long time to even get to that point because I was really bad at hardly eating anything at the tracks. But yeah, I do feel like it's coming around though, where even now when we are starting to get to like noontime, I am starting to get hungry at the tracks. And like even like especially practice days, which helps though. Like when we are on race days, it helps me be able to eat at the track.
Yeah, it's like you're practicing what you need to do for a race day.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know recently too, this has been a couple weeks ago, but you were riding and you said something about that, it was like 2 sessions in maybe, and you said that you were kind of you're just a little bit low on energy. And like I kind of looked and like I knew what you eat or whatever, and I was like, do me a favor. I was like, they're called Bob's bars, but they're just like healthy granola bars, basically. High quality, healthy, low ingredient granola bars. And I'm like, why don't you eat this? It was honey flavored, and you did. And I think you immediately felt better and you went out and rode some more. So just little things like that, knowing what to do. Like if you're low on energy, you should probably eat.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you walk over and before you go out for your session and you look and your bike's low on gas and you dump some gas in the tank. It's gonna go better when you get out on the track. You're gonna make it a lot farther.
Yeah, you're not gonna stall out in the middle of a lap and be like, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the same way though. It's like, okay, if you dump some fuel essentially into your body, you're not gonna stall out a lap and a half in.
Yeah.
Because your tank's full, or maybe at least partially full, hopefully.
Yeah, you have to have something in there to burn. I mean, your body will continue to operate. That's how efficient our bodies are, even without, like, if you don't eat. Like, our bodies will figure out how to survive until you're absolutely starved. Like, that's not the intent. But you'll operate a whole lot better, you'll ride a whole lot better, feel a whole lot better, perform a whole lot better when you actually feed yourself.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And, I mean, I suffered from that for a while, where even, like, when we were at the races and did have food there, and I would eat like breakfast and I'd eat lunch and stuff when we were at the races, but outside of that I didn't eat a whole lot else, so I still didn't have a lot to burn on. So I'd go out for, I usually was racing 2 classes, so it's like, okay, at one moto I was probably burning a lot of what I already ate. So it's like, and then getting later in the day and we're in the second motos, and it's like I was usually like zapped sitting on the line like, shoot, I still got a whole moto to race here and I'm already tanked.
Yeah, and now, I mean, you obviously are an adult and you feed yourself, but I'm pretty on top of making sure you're eating enough. Like, so we eat breakfast before we leave. We usually eat a snack on the way because most tracks are at least an hour. Open practice usually doesn't start until like 10 or 11. So by the time we get halfway there, it's like, probably 9:30, it's time to eat something. I'm like, hey, your, whatever's in the bag, or your banana, your peanut butter and jelly's in the bag if you're hungry, and usually you'll grab it. And so we eat a snack on the way there, eat lunch right around noon, and maybe have another snack, or just make sure that we eat something when we're done riding. So just making sure that even if it's small snacks or a protein shake if you have a nervous stomach and can't keep food down, or fruit is great, yogurt and granola, anything that you can get down and put fuel in your body is going to have you feeling better to ride longer.
Yeah, I love fruit in the summertime because it is easy, especially like some watermelon.
Ooh, yeah.
It's easy to get down, and I mean, it's got a lot of water in it, so it's kind of hydrating, and yeah, it's
actually really good for you too. So Fruit, and I will say this, it's funny that we're talking about this because after this most recent, 2 weeks ago when we went and rode, my dad said something to me. He's like, hey, I have a question for you. He's like, we rode a couple sessions and then I started feeling like this really weird, like brain fog. He's like, I went out there and rode more. He's like, but I didn't quite feel great. I didn't quite feel like myself. He's like, so, I was going to wait and ride another session, but I decided not to because I just didn't feel great. And then on the way home, we stopped and ate and I feel loads better. So I asked him, I was like, well, what did you eat going to riding? He's like, well, I had a small breakfast and then, we had a little bit of pasta salad for lunch. And I was like, okay, well, what's a small breakfast? They had stopped and got like a breakfast sandwich from a restaurant on the way, which all 4 breakfast sandwiches, it's usually you're going to have your protein, your carbs. Meals at home are generally a little healthier. But again, we're all on the road. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. So not against the breakfast sandwich, but he didn't eat nearly enough. So by the time he ate the breakfast sandwich and got to the track, that was probably already burned through his system. Okay, now we're going to ride a session or two and eat a little bit of pasta salad that, okay, again, carbs are good, a little bit of protein in there with the summer sausage and stuff, but
That's going to burn us so quick, though.
yeah, not nearly enough food for a ride day for an adult. So I kind of said that to him. He's like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. And so I went through the same thing with him, kind of like how we snack on the way there. We eat lunch right at noon. Like, I'm on a schedule. And I tell people, anyone that I work with from a nutrition coaching standpoint, I'm like, this sounds dumb, but you have to schedule your food like you schedule your pet's food. Like, okay, your dog gets fed. I know Zuki gets fed at 5 o'clock in the morning and 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Okay, well, I'm on that schedule myself. I eat breakfast when I get up, 5 o'clock. I eat a snack before I go to work at 9 o'clock. I eat lunch at noon. Even if, like, I am usually hungry at those points in time, but if my calorie content in each meal is roughly the same, even if I'm not hungry, I'm still going to eat something because I know if I don't, I'm going to forget. And by the time I get to whatever the next meal is, I'm going to be starving and way behind on calories for the day. So I just, keep it rolling on a set schedule.
Yeah, you're a little better at that than I am. I'm getting there.
I know.
But, I mean, like I was saying, I wasn't always good at eating at the tracks anyways. So it has taken me a long time. But like we talked, it's something you kind of, just like riding, you have to practice it. So I've been doing that at practice days, and it's kind of funny now that I've been doing it for a little while. I've found more so on like a practice day, but that I'll be like coming off the track and I'm like, not even back to the trailer yet, and I'm like, oh man, I'm a little hungry. I think I'm gonna eat something when I get back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice though, because like I don't have like a super like slump like midday or like how your dad was feeling. Like I've done that to myself before, like ride a handful of sessions and it's like you're out for that last session and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out again, and then you're out and you're like, man, you're just kind of like foggy and you can't really get into like a good flow or anything like that, and you're like, what is going on? And then it's like even worse like after that, you get like all packed up and you're like driving home and you feel terrible, you feel all tight and you get a headache and you're like, what is going on? And it's like, well, I haven't ate anything, I'm running on nothing, on fumes right now.
Yeah. And one thing so I forgot where I was going when I started talking about my dad, talking about the brain fog thing and the headache. So your brain's preferred source of fuel is carbohydrates. Fruit is full of good, healthy carbohydrates.
Oh, yeah.
So the more fruit you can eat, I mean, you don't want to like only eat fruit. You need the protein and other things too, because they create balanced meals. You need the balance. But fruit is a super good way, kind of like, okay, you come off of a moto, the little bit of sugar that's in the Motoxpops, it brings your energy levels up. Okay, well, I don't have one of those today. Eat a banana, eat an apple, something that natural sugar. For one, the sugar in fruits is, again, natural. So it actually takes your body longer to break the sugar down, meaning it doesn't lead to the energy crashes. Your body can kind of metabolize that a little bit slower. It spreads it out a longer period of time, and it keeps you from feeling hungry so much sooner. Except apples. For some reason, when I eat an apple, I swear to God, it makes me hungrier.
I feel like an apple always just dries my mouth out.
I mean, there's no scientific backing to that at all. Every time I eat an apple, within like 10 minutes, I'm like, God, I'm hungrier than when I ate that, before I ate the apple. Anyways, I do like apples. But usually we kind of stick to bananas. Yeah, but otherwise, that's just where I wanted to go with the whole fruit thing. You were talking about watermelon. Watermelon, people say, oh, it's high in sugar. Like, oh my God, with the sugar. Like, okay, look at the sugar content in fruit versus everything else that's processed. Like, you would be amazed. But, okay, so...
There's so much water in watermelon, though. Like,
yeah.
It's so, like, juicy. Like
watermelon has water in it?
Yeah, that's a weird concept.
That's weird. Yeah, so...
But, like, I feel like, I don't know. Yeah,
watermelon,
it's sugary, naturally sugary, but...
Watermelon is a great snack to have. Ooh, and freeze it. If you freeze watermelon and take it to the track, it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Grapes, too. But anyways, so, yeah, I mean, just talking about the nutrition piece of it, the hydration, the electrolytes, just kind of a quick breakdown, I guess, for people trying to build, like trying to know what to eat on a race day. You want to focus on good quality carbohydrates and lean proteins pretty much for every meal when you're riding or racing. Breakfast especially, get that energy in. Again, oatmeal's a good one. Yogurt and fruit, scrambled eggs and toast, whatever. Carbs and protein, not processed foods. The more processed foods we can avoid, the better. Mid-morning snack, something, carbohydrate, granola bar, fruit is great, anything like that. Lunch, carbs and protein, maybe a whole grain bread sandwich with turkey. And again, people will demonize lunch meat and say, oh, it's processed. Okay, well, what's the alternative? A hamburger from the concession stand? Like, come on, people.
Muffin and a Mountain Dew.
Oh my God. Yes, that is the perfect lunch. No, I'm just kidding. So then, yeah. And then again, depending on, not the muffin and the Mountain Dew, the whole grain bread on a sandwich with, let's say, lunch meat and a piece of cheese. And I love pickles, so it's going to have pickles on it for me. Maybe something else depending on...
Pickles, though, are good for keeping cramps away.
See? That's why you gotta add the pickles.
Yeah.
But, something else depending on how hungry you are. Like, I usually just eat a sandwich. You're like a sandwich and chip kind of guy and just getting a little more calories in. Maybe another snack before you're done riding, depending on how long you're riding or how long your race day is. And then after you're done, you want to make sure you restart that recovery process. So again, this is important to get your carbohydrates in, to restore energy levels, protein to start the repair and rebuild process of your muscle after abusing it all day. Healthy fats are always needed. You need those to live. But hydration, you want to replace as much as you sweat, 1.5 times that amount in water. Now I know that's like, well, how do I know how much I sweat out? There is a calculation you can use. There's a whole process, not a procedure, we're not doctors, a process to calculate how much you sweat out. But you have to basically, and I sent this to one of the riders we coach because he was curious about it. Basically, you strip down naked, pee, poop, get everything out, weigh yourself, gear up, go ride. You have to track if you've peed again while you've rode. You have to track any water that you're intaking. Okay, and then when you're done, you strip back down and weigh yourself again, and you have to net out the difference of all of those things to figure out how much you sweat out. And then you replace water at 1.5 times that amount. The easier way to do it is just to make sure you're drinking 80 to 100 ounces of water a day and getting an electrolyte replacement in, because I ain't doing that.
Yeah, that sounds like a long process.
It sounds intense. And he was interested in it. So I'm all about that. If you want the details, sure thing. I wrote up a little guide for him, sent it his way, talked about it on one of his check-ins. He was like, okay, cool. He's like, I'll try it. I was like, kudos
More
to
power
you.
to you.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. I'm interested because I'm dedicated. Obviously, I schedule my times to eat.
Yes.
I'm kind of on the extreme side of that, but stuff like that, it's just, and it's interesting for people. So if I can provide that type of help or knowledge or guidance or whatever, I'm all about it, but I'm not going to do that because no. So anyways, just kind of a good little chat today about nutrition, hydration, electrolytes, all those things. Obviously, we got to talk to Justin with Motoxpops. I really do think it'll be fun if we can, even if if we don't have our camper and have a way to pass them out frozen, if we're able to get them to people down this way and sell them for him. Like, I think that would be huge for people to have in their motorhomes, for their kids, for their husbands, for themselves, you know, like anyone in the family.
I agree. I think they'd be a big hit, especially with the kids. And like the parents, dad, you know, mechanicking, it's a hot day. He's been drinking water and, you know, maybe that's all in the cooler or whatever. And it's like, okay, grab a popsicle or two like throughout the day and keep yourself like hydrated. And yeah, keeping those electrolytes in there and keep yourself feeling good.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely keep an eye out on his page. It's at Motoxpops on Instagram. He was a super nice guy to chat with, and we'll be looking forward to working with him a little more in the future. But otherwise, you know, we gave some really good information in there, kind of how we work it around our own schedule, our own challenges and things like that. But if you guys have any other questions, you know, Phil is now a coach with ShredMX too, so ask either one of us. I am honest when I say some people probably aren't comfortable reaching out to me for one reason or another. So if that's the case, reach out to Phil. Like, if you've just known him forever, you know, ask questions. Like,
hit me up.
If he doesn't know, he'll ask me. We'll get you the right answer. We are truly here to help people.
Yeah, we want to help out, guys.
Yeah. So other than that, I think that was, like I said, a good little chat with Justin and a good chat with me and you after that. So yeah, we'll look forward to the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.